All right. I know you wrote an article about this roster space. And do you think the Browns trade up and trade down? Take us through that and just kind of your thought process in that article. Again, Dogs by Nature is where you can read Jared's stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is right now, when I look at their 53-man roster, if you include, Josh Dobbs, Kellen Mond, Jerome Ford backing up Nick Chubb, Demetric Felton, John Kelly being the third running back, at a very root level, and this is including either Felton or Kelly, there's about 5 roster spots available. And the Browns have 8 draft picks and also normally sign somebody pretty high in undrafted free agency. So that means to me one of two things. Either they're going to move back up, they're going to use some picks, get into late second or even mid-second round, or they're going to move out. So they have 2 picks in the 4th round, 2 picks in the 5th round. They have the 2 in the 3rd. Those are picks that if you trade a 4th round pick this year, you get a 3rd round pick next year. And right now, the Browns only have 2 picks in the first 4 rounds next year. So I think it just makes sense looking at the roster construction. He's brought in 12 new players to this roster, that adding another 8 draft picks and possibly some undrafted free agents just isn't really a good use of his assets. So moving up to get somebody who fell in the 2nd round, this is a really interesting draft for different types of wide receivers and defensive linemen. I think that would make a lot of sense in his aggressive nature. Or just move out and kind of give yourself a little bit more flexibility in 2024's draft, where you're a little bit more limited in draft capital. It just doesn't make sense to keep adding players to a roster that you either aren't going to keep a free agent you signed or a player you just drafted. It starts to get a little murky when the numbers keep going.